Pelotonia. My name is Joe Biden. I'm married to Jill Biden. And I'm here with some friends. You know, these days we're not supposed to have friends the other side of the aisle, but John Kasich is a friend, Rob Portman is a friend, and I love Joyce Beatty. She's my best buddy. Mayor Coleman, former mayor forever, I see her somewhere as well, good friend. And look, folks, good evening. You know, we have a rule back where I come from, it's already been violated. You keep someone standing more than 15 minutes listening to a speech, you lose everything. Well, hell, you're so far beyond 15 minutes, it doesn't matter. I'm not running for anything anyway, but anyway. Look, 2020 is a long way off. We're going to do an awful lot to cure cancer between now and then. Look, Jill and I are here for one basic reason. I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Unfortunately, I have a bad reputation of saying what I mean and meaning what I say. I sometimes don't always do it the right way. But folks, look, what you're doing here today, and those of you who are survivors know, and those of you who are struggling know, you're providing hope. 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 When that diagnosis comes, the fear of God runs through you, and you need, and your family needs, a reason for hope. Not hope in the abstract, but hope, real hope. Because all of you are making an incredible, incredible contribution. And you really are. What you've done for the last 8-9 years has generated so much energy, so much change, so much science. You've given people hope, and you've helped change people's lives already. And look, Jill and I, like so many of you, know from first-hand experience, which I wish we did not have, how necessary hope is in allowing the family and the patient to deal with a diagnosis. Our son, Bo, was the finest man I've ever known, but you expect a dad to say that. But I think anybody who knows him, including Rob and the governor, would tell you he was a fine, fine man. He subscribed to my mother's admonition. My mom used to say, and I mean this, she said, as long as you're alive, you have an obligation to strive, and you're not dead till you've seen the face of God. As long as you're alive, you have an obligation to strive. And that's what he and so many others who've survived and not survived have done. They've screwed up the courage to continue to fight. They've held out hope because they know the incredible progress is being made. Because we know what you know. We're on the cusp of so many potential breakthroughs. And I really mean that. That's not hyperbole. In Bo's case, the cancer outran the cure. But that doesn't mean that there are other Bo Bidens who can't be cured. It doesn't mean there aren't hundreds of thousands of people who will win the race that Bo was not able to win. In 1971, Richard Nixon declared a war on cancer, and he was extremely well intended. He meant it. But he had no army, he had no resources, and he had no clear strategy to one. Back then, most experts thought there was one cancer in different parts of the body. There are over 204 totally distinct cancers. Back then it was thought to be one. Back then, the model was Jonas Salk, who would go to the laboratory and find a cure for polio. The notion was there would be a silver bullet. And the entire system was set up based on that model. But after 46 years of progress, after decades of funding, research, training, new scientists, new physicians, treating millions of patients, We now have an army. We now have powerful new tools that did not exist then. But it's incumbent on us to change the way in which we fight and fund cancer. It requires cooperation, sharing, breaking down barriers and silos that have existed for much too long. Back in the old days, there wasn't much sharing. There wasn't the ability to share much data. But today we have that capacity. The science and technology has reached an inflection point. I was Vice President of the United States. Our son was diagnosed with stage 4 glioblastoma. It's usually a death sentence. I had access to everything that anyone could possibly have. And one of the things I learned is that only a couple years before he was diagnosed, only then were there beginning to be cooperation among the various disciplines. 7 years ago, immunotherapy was viewed as a voodoo science, not a joke. That we're not cooperating with. There was no engagement as a practical matter with oncologists. There was no engagement with chemical and biological engineers and so many other folks. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've reached an inflection point. Researchers and clinicians understand more about the disease than they ever did before. Oncologists are routinely working closely with immunologists, virologists, geneticists, chemical and biological engineers, including experts at NASA dealing with radiation in ways that didn't exist even 6 years ago. We now have computers that can do 1,000,000 billion calculations per second, opening the door to solve riddles that were not available. You could put 50 Nobel laureates in a room and never be able to get to the place where, after just diagnosing, if we had enough samples of cancer genomes to work with, we could find answers that are like mapping the stars. There's so much potential. We've learned that cancer uses every tool at its disposal. It hides from the immune system. It builds its own blood supply system. It uses viruses to spread. It engineers a friendly cellular environment to support survival and its growth. And it knows how to spread through the body using pathways and mutations that we don't fully understand, but we're finally beginning to break down. Folks, you know it. Cancer never gives up. It never surrenders. And that's why we have to use every single expertise available to us, working together, sharing data to take down this disease. We're making progress. And therefore, every day, because of the help you provided, gives additional reason for hope. Every day, researchers are getting closer to understanding how cancer cells hide from the immune system and finding ways to target them. Every day, technology experts are developing new artificial intelligence to dig into mounds of seemingly random data to find new clues and answers that didn't even dream about even 5 years ago. Every day, patients are enrolling in clinical trials, hoping it's an answer for them. But if not, what doctors learn from the trials will help others. You know, only 4 in 100 patients who are diagnosed with cancer ever qualify for a trial. 4 in 100. We're changing that. Every day, the last weeks and months, you've gotten to bed early to get up training and to ride, to come up with a new idea, to inspire your friends and your family to participate. As Jill said, this isn't a ride, this is a movement. Every day for the last year of our administration, Jill and I committed ourselves to the Cancer Moonshot, a program that President Obama announced. When I announced that I wasn't running for president, I did say in the Rose Garden, It wasn't scripted. One regret I have is I wouldn't be the guy to get to preside over the end of cancer as we know it. That's how certain I am that this is going to happen. And when the president announced the program in the State of the Union address, it was primarily to do two things, which you are doing and we're still doing. One, inject the urgency of now into this. Ladies and gentlemen, the fact of the matter is that clinicians have a different circumstance than researchers. Researchers are the most brilliant people I've met, and I've met an awful lot of incredible people in my career in the nuclear side and a whole range of other disciplines. But folks, you all know that cancer patients, sometimes when they're diagnosed, they know how tough it is. Some know there's not real prospect of survival like my son, but they want to ask, Doc, my daughter's getting married in a month. Can you give me one more month, Doc? Just one more month, Doc. Can you give me one? She's going to have a baby, Doc. I want to see her. I need another 2 weeks, Doc. Can you just give me another 2 weeks? Doc, if I just had 6 more months, I could put my finances in shape and my family could be okay. Doc, ladies and gentlemen, we know enough right now to be able to do that if we just begin to cooperate. If these disciplines begin to work together like they're beginning to do. Not a cure sometimes, it's just give me one more month, Doc. That's the urgency of now. Now, not tomorrow. It's days, it's weeks, it's months. And the second thing we have to do is change the culture. The culture of a cancer system where this fight is not the last fight we fought, but a new fight where everybody's in on the deal. Every one of the scientists and researchers and clinicians are sharing everything they know with one another. No more silos of information. Share it. So we have to update the strategy for the 21st century. Over the course of 2016, we've made some real progress. There are too many examples to describe in the time I have tonight, and a lot of you should probably get